didn't want to make a big deal about it yesterday, but Mike Schur privately within Meadowlark was suspended for one show for just conduct that we're not going to talk about here. We don't want the public to know about. But he is back today after a one-game suspension. Before we get to the stat of the day with Mike Schur, I did want to get with him and you, Amin, on the end of that Bucks Raptors game yesterday. We've been talking about disappearing leads, and the idea that the Bucks were up 95-81 with 70 seconds left, up 14 with 70 seconds left, and that game went to overtime.
Yeah.
I mean, you guys have been talking about 30-second comebacks and 40-second comebacks, but 14 points in 70 seconds was made up for by the Raptors.
It was a nice little kind of moment in time when everything went right for the Raptors, right? You start with Grayson Allen punching Gary Trent Jr. in the dick as he's taking the three. He makes a three. The foul is called, so he goes to the free throw line, hits that, but the foul is reviewed, and it's called a flagrant, so now they keep the ball. So now it's a 4-point play, and they got the ball, and then Scotty Barnes drives, makes a tough layup. Now that's a 6-point play on one possession. The Bucks come back down the court. Now, this is where it gets iffy, right? Because Bobby Portis has it on the baseline, and Siakam basically groin thrusts into him vigorously. That knocks Portis out of bounds, but the refs say Toronto ball, and they come down, and Gary Trent hits another three. And all of a sudden, you got yourself overtime.
That is still 9 of the 14 points that were needed.
I can't remember the first 5.
No, I'm just saying there were 5 more points in there in 70 seconds.
That was at the beginning, at the front end.
Totally nuts. Yeah. This is a product of the threes, right? How much the game has changed, correct, Mike? Like, what has happened here in these games is that everyone's just gotten ridiculously better at shooting threes.
Well, first of all, for like the 4th day in a row, you've stolen one of my stats of the day. So thank you so much.
I haven't stolen it. What do you mean?
Did.
Listen,
this is the way it's supposed to happen.
Yeah.
I'm supposed to come on the show, and you're supposed to say, Mike Schur is here with the stat of the day. You play the dumb song, I give you the dumb stat, and then we talk about something. What has happened for like every day for the last week is that I come on and you're like, hey, before we get to the stat of the day, let's talk about something really interesting that happened in sports last night where some crazy number stuff happened.
All right, now I'll say it. He was suspended for insubordination. I'll just say it now because he can't. I'll just say it. I'll just tell everybody.
Ain't a command, Mike.
Start of the day. It is
Guy
the
owns the
start of the
company.
day.
What are you doing?
He's an intern.
Founder. No, I'm talking about you.
I know, but he's an intern.
Start of the day, start of the day, it is the start of the day.
You need to rule with an iron fist.
Here's what I was going to do. It was going to be really fun. I was going to say, hey, Dan, it's Thursday. You know what that means? It's time for Milwaukee Bucks Roundup, where we every Thursday on the Dan Le Batard Show with Stugotz, it's wall-to-wall Milwaukee Bucks stats and info. And I was going to pretend like this was like a thing we did because there were 15 crazy things that came out of that game. And you've blown it now, and that's fine. I'll just give you the rest of the interesting Milwaukee Bucks stats.
All right, well, so people know, though, this is a coincidence. I never know what you're going to come on here and talk about. Never once have I known.
It's been a coincidence every day for the last week.
Well, it's not my fault that you're so unoriginal that I can predict what it is you're going to talk about.
7 minutes into the Bucks-Toronto game last night, the score was 7-1 Milwaukee. 7 minutes into the game, it was 7-1. The Raptors scored 1 point in 7 minutes. Through the first 15 and a half minutes of the game, they were 2 of 30 from the field, 0 of 12 from 3. They had 10 points from the free throw line and 4 points from actual basketball play. It was like it was like Drake was having a nightmare and we were all watching it play out live. Truly the worst first quarter of basketball. It was 13-12 at the end of the first quarter.
Whoa.
That was insane. Also, let's talk about Giannis Antetokounmpo for a second. Over a 3-game span before last night's game, he became the first NBA player to average 45, 15, and 5 over a 3-game span since Wilt Chamberlain in January of 1964. And last night, Giannis had a quadruple double, 30 points, 21 rebounds, 10 assists, and 12 turnovers. He is the only player ever to have a 30, 20, 10, and 10 in a single game since turnovers started being tracked in 1977.
That's great.
Congrats to you, Giannis, for the quadruple double.
Your stat was better than my stat. All I did was intro it.
It doesn't matter. No, it doesn't matter now because you ruined it. You lopped off the top of the Milwaukee Bucks stats and info Thursday roundup bit that I was going to do. And so what I'm left with is like, oh yeah, that's interesting. Giannis had a quadruple double, but I don't get the full effect of what I had carefully prepared and then woke up early this morning at 6:15 to write down and prepare for you here on the show.
I don't feel like you have to keep lashing out. That's what got you in trouble with Meadowlark Human Resources before. I don't know why you had to bring it to air. Is this a Shannon
you know what? The full story,
situation?
of what happened yesterday will be told. The full story will come to light at some point.
Do not threaten me on the air.
Will it be a tell-all?
I'm not threatening you. I'm just saying.
There's a real Reyna Berhalter situation we got brewing here.
That, by the way, what is happening?
Now you want to talk current sports stories.
Yeah, I do now. What is going on, Whitty? What are we doing?
Why extortion, Whitty? Go ahead. We haven't covered this since the local hour today, but you really can't cover it enough.
I mean, it's just an angry parent who's gone into, like, I just cannot fathom. Has this ever happened in another professional sport where a parent has gotten involved to this degree? Like, I can't think of in American sports where like
never lost.
I mean, I guess LeVar was pretty out there, but this sort
not
of
like this though, not like this,
not like this.
Not with blackmail.
It's just such a bad look.
Like
David Sampson said Gio Reyna should be chucked off the team for like banned for life from the national team because of this.
Shocking that David Sampson sides with management over players.
But I mean, like it's just one of those things where for Gio Reyna, the next time he is called into the national team, whether it's under Greg Berhalter somehow that they figure out a way to reconcile or under another manager, kid's got a lot of explaining to do.
No, I disagree. The dad has a lot of explaining to do. This poor kid, he's 21 years old or whatever, and his dad and Berhalter have this very long time close friendship, and he's been sitting on this piece of blackmailable information for 31 years. And then the coach, this is helicopter parenting is what this is. The coach of the U.S. men's national team does something he doesn't like to his kid, and then they drag this thing out after 31 years. Look, what Berhalter did is obviously awful. I'm not saying it's okay that he did what he did. It's terrible. But this is just weird. It's like, let the kid fight his own battles. He's on the team. He's a grown-up. They're all grown-ups. Like, I can't. This is so embarrassing.
Well, it
makes U.S. soccer look so rinky-dink.
Don't use a woman's, past domestic assault incident against her family. It's just
that she clearly has no problem with after 31 years.
She might, but so, it's not someone else's business.
It's not a tool to be used in a playing time dispute
shitty.
for a soccer game. It's so ugly and gross. The whole thing is awful.
It's that I think is the biggest kernel we should take away from this, which is they're not reporting it because they're found out and they're concerned about her safety.
No,
of course not.
They're doing it I'm just throwing this shit out there.
It's a gotcha. It's look what you did when you were 18. Yeah. You had character issues and blah, 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 whatever. But it's really, really disgusting, though. I don't want that part to get lost in all of this. What hovers closer than a helicopter? Can we call this drone parenting? We've
got
helicopter
to update the phrase.
I feel like is too there's too much
straight jacket
distance.
parenting.
Yeah. It's just really, in all of the youth sports that I've played, this is just takes the cake.
Did you forget how to wear a sweatshirt?
I'm freezing. Let me live. Something happened back here while I was talking, by the way, to defend my fizzling out of my last conversation. I don't know what's going on.
We're talking about hovering, and I said me in a porta potty.
I thought you said porta potty parent. It really threw me off. I was like, I don't know what Chris Cody does in a porta potty.
I want to explain to the audience what happened here because I watched
take shits in porta potties.
I watched that joke. I watched that joke silently make its way from Tony to Chris Whittingham, like falling out of his chair, moving away from the unpleasantness of that visual, to Chris Cody whispering it in the ear of Amin. I watched it ping pong around the room. I looked at Amin, and Amin wouldn't take the joke. He wouldn't take it.
The whole time I was talking, just absolutely no idea where my sentence was going.
What was happening
I
was
wasn't listening
She got
to
me
myself.
thinking, what is something that hovers closer than a helicopter?
To be fair, Chris, this wouldn't happen
you.
if you took a shit every day.
It's true.
You wouldn't have to take
Yeah.
shits in porta potties.
You know, I've been doing the math. Maybe I shit more than I thought. I think I do shit 7 times a week, but I think I go a day or two without, and I'll have a day I shit
Good.
3
Let's-
times.
Let's let that end the show today.
Okay.
See you, Gary.